Welcome to the Supercharge Marketing Podcast. I'm Pius, the head of growth at Lumen 5, an AI video creator made by marketers for marketers. This podcast is a rally call for those who believe in purposeful content, brand storytelling, and thought leadership. We feature insights and best practices from forward-thinking marketers and B2B leaders, daring you to stand out in the rapidly evolving world around us. Are you ready to supercharge your marketing? Hi, everyone. I'm very excited for today's episode of Supercharge Marketing. Today is a real treat for all you marketing strategists, tacticians, and leaders all. I'm joined by Stephen Midgley, a veteran in the space of B2B SaaS with over 2 decades of experience in all things enterprise marketing. In his tenure, Stephen's held senior VP and CMO leadership roles with functions across digital operations, demand generation, communications, brand, content, and sales enablement. Across companies like Business Objects, SAP, where I first crossed paths with Stephen in 2005, to VP of Global Marketing at Absolute Software, where he helped take the company to huge growths in his 9 years there, helping the company go from low 5-figure deals to multi-million-dollar deals, which I can also personally attest to at my time at Absolute Software as well, working on the sales team at the time. In the years after Absolute Software, Stephen served as the CMO to Commerce Build for 4 years and now is the VP of Marketing at Invafresh. Stephen, wow, if I could unpack all of these stories in your head, what a wealth of learnings we could all have. Great to have you back chatting together and really good to see you again.
Yeah, Pius, great to see you. We spent a lot of time talking to each other, especially the days at Absolute.
Yeah, no, for sure. Maybe let's kick off with a little bit about yourself. Kind of tell us a bit about your journey in marketing through the years and what drives you here today.
Yeah, and it's great to be here. So really appreciate the invite and looking forward to the chat. So I got into marketing. I feel really old when you go through my CV like that. I got into marketing really because I liked to write. And I always think people get into marketing, there's a certain angle they get into marketing. Maybe they like data or they got into product marketing. For me, it was I enjoyed writing and I enjoyed the concept of communications. And so I began my career in marketing as a product marketer at a Van City, a credit union. And so I did product marketing in that world for a little bit. And then to make myself really old, this was the beginning of online banking. So I was kind of like tech. And so I was a part of a team that launched online banking, went around, demoed that, and
Very cool.
ran the e-commerce division for Van City for a number of years. And I ended up from there realizing that tech is this more cool than banking, and so I switched into tech and ended up at Crystal Decisions, which became Business Objects and SAP. So I've been in tech marketing for over 20 years now.
Very cool. Yeah, no, awesome. In our earlier chats offline as well, you'd shared so much about how marketing has evolved in so many ways through the course of your career. But something interesting that you said that wasn't so much change, but more of an evolution. And I think the 3 key things that you brought up that I found super interesting was that around data and marketing, revenue and marketing, and specifically technology and marketing. And I'd love to focus our chat around those 3 pillars today, kicking off something that's near and dear to you with data. How do you see data? How do you see the use of data, and why is it so important to start with data?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, in my time in marketing, the volume of data and the tech tools that are available have really evolved. And the challenge for marketing, and I always tell this to my teams, marketing is a great place to work because you're at the heartbeat of a company, and you're a horizontal player working with a bunch of verticals. So you're working with pretty much every department across the company. And the challenge for marketing and the challenge for marketers is that everyone thinks they can do your job, whether it's sales or accounting or engineering finance. Everyone thinks they can do marketing. And so by default, marketing is very subjective. And sometimes marketers kind of fall into the trap by using, sort of fandangled marketing terms like brand essence, which people kind of gloss over. And so why data is well, it's cool, but why data is so important is because it takes the subjectivity of marketing and makes it very objective. And so, certainly in my career, we really focus on using data to make decisions and to back up our reasoning, as opposed to focusing on gut instincts. Or for example, Pius, you're going to do a web redesign. Well, that's one of the most subjective things you can do, is redesigning a website. And you've got 10 people in a room, you can have 15 points of view. So we always used data to kind of decide how we're going to structure things, how we're going to architect and run programs. And the cool thing about data too, from a marketing perspective, it actually helps you get more money. So data can help you increase your budget, because you could show proof positive our programs are actually contributing to pipelines. So data um, should be one of your best allies in the executive level conversation, but also conversation with your sales organization too.
Yeah, that's amazing. And maybe what mistakes have you seen when marketers just guess and don't drive with data or don't lead with data?
Well, what happens, and I've made these mistakes too in my career. What happens is you end up going with sort of gut check type stuff, and you end up guessing at what you think it should be, and then when you got to look at your organization. So if you're CEO, and a lot of CEOs are accountants by trade, and so by definition they're data focused. And so what happens is, if you're going by opinion, not by fact, then you kind of get yourself into a bit of a corner sometimes, where you can't justify the reasons for what the decisions that you made, especially if those decisions go wrong, or don't have the intended outcome. So I have found that data allows you to it allows you to make good decisions, thoughtful decisions, but it also gives you a sense of expertise too. And I've had a lot of experience presenting marketing plans to board of directors, and so often on the boards there aren't sort of go-to-market experts. There's going to be a lot of financial type people, but if you can speak to the data points, it really helps clarify your thinking, but also it really gives you a sense of authority that your marketing knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you spoke about last time really is that like the big things that you can drive is pipeline contribution, being able to track everything from lead to opportunity and using data to drive those decisions. Maybe you can speak a little bit more about how you look at driving demand and creating demand from lead to
Yeah.
opportunity using data.
Yeah, certainly. And just one point on data. Marketers should view data as the great equalizer when it comes to subjectivity, and it's really a currency for growth and alignment. And so, having that single source of truth allows you to uh, elevate and rapidly grow both your marketing organization, but also the marketing function across the org. Um, you know, I would look at marketing, and one of the most important metrics for a marketer is pipeline contribution. Certainly at Invafresh, it's a key metric that marketing is measured against, is how are we contributing to pipeline. And so for us, when it comes to revenue and marketing, it is the question is what marketing activities are contributing to pipeline, and how we do that, and how any marketer should do it, is being able to measure or have line of sight from lead attribution to lead opportunity. And that's easier said than done. I think attribution is maybe the most difficult data point or metric to really articulate, especially when you have multiple touch points throughout the buyer journey. We've developed a process at Invafresh that allows us to measure effectively that attribution. So we know which programs are pulling the best. So my boss, CEO, can come back to me and say, okay, Stephen, in 2022, which programs pulled the best in terms of demand generation, in terms of SQLs or SQOs, and so we can pull that metric and see which programs are pulling the best, and it allows us to justify marketing spend and to go back to the table when it's time for budget to ask for additional spend on certain programs.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. And one thing that I've been hearing a lot of is really the difference between marketing operations, for example, and revenue operations, where
Yeah,
we see marketing operations looking more towards the campaigns or the contents that are performing well. And then the revenue operations also taking that marketing data, but driving that towards things like revenue generating functions and having more budget to do things that you want to do.
yeah.
Now, a lot of what you mentioned, attribution is harder and harder to get these days with dark social and attribution. And how do you measure, the things that are kind of harder to measure now with more and more social networks that are unable to provide the customer data? How do you collect this and how do you manage that?
Yeah, it's a good point. A couple things. One on marketing ops and sales ops. And I ran marketing ops at Business Objects a few years ago now. But I think the key word here is alignment. And so you can't have a marketing ops team managing data that doesn't tie back to what revenue ops or sales ops is doing. So you need to have alignment between sales and marketing. I mean, I would argue that you need to have alignment across all departments when it comes to marketing, because the kiss of death for any marketing leader is when someone goes, I wonder what marketing's doing. That's never a good thing. So I think from a data perspective and from a revenue perspective, it's around the single source of truth and alignment. So I'll give an example. So at Invafresh, we use Salesforce for CRM, and we use HubSpot for marketing automation. Pretty common mix, and a lot of companies have a different tool for marketing automation, like a Marketo or Eloquar, and have a different tool for CRM. So when we look at data, we run our campaign metrics in HubSpot. Things like open rates, click-through rates. So we have that data source. But when it comes to revenue and line of sight on sales qualified opportunities and pipeline contribution, we rely 100% on Salesforce. And so we need to make sure there's good integration between those two systems. And we need to make sure that marketing ops and sales ops are closely aligned, and they have weekly meetings to review progress. Our growth marketing team works closely with our BDR team, which in our company is part of sales, to make sure that there's consistent alignment between looking at those metrics. What we want to avoid, and what any company wants to avoid, is those data silos where marketing is accessing one data set and sales or finance is accessing a different data set. We've got to make sure that we're looking at the same data and that there's alignment between those departments when it comes to reviewing data. On the social media front, it is more challenging. I mean, my career is built around B2B marketing, not B2C. And so I view social media as more of an amplification tool as opposed to a demand gen tool. I'm sure your listeners will have different perspectives and points of view and have different successes. But in my career, I look at social media as a way to build or amplify awareness amongst target audiences. I don't look at social media specifically as a demand gen tool. We have other programs that help drive pipeline. There may be some attribution to social media. We can see who's reposting, sharing, for example, but we use social as a amplification tool, and a good one
No,
too.
yeah, no, very much. I think social media is amazing for driving awareness in the beginning
Yeah,
stages and the top of funnel, and then if they're interested, they continue to go down that journey
yeah,
and whatnot too. Yeah,
yeah,
one thing we've commonly seen in the past is to your point, how sales and marketing's functions almost operate in silos, right? With different metrics, different goals, and different
Yeah.
motivations. And a lot of that really just drives a company apart. And more we're seeing how sales and marketing need to come together, not just in how they're measured and how they operate, but how they think. And in a lot of ways, marketing needs to operate in that one-to-one mentality, whereas before it was very much one to many, and creating that content that's impactful and personal. And looking at the metrics that drive it often starts with the MQL, right? And something that we've changed at Lumen 5 is how we measure leads, which is further down the pipeline into PRLs, which is purchase ready leads, where
Okay.
customers are ready, willing, and wanting to talk to sales reps. They've been educated on the solution. They know the why and the how, and now they're ready to talk to a sales rep and a strategic consultant to help customize a solution for their business and maybe specific use cases. And I think it's because really this modern buyer's journey, the marketing led buyer's journey, which allows the customer to be in this position. How else would you see marketing contributing to this and supporting sales revenue?
Yeah, and it's a good point. I mean, I've always viewed marketing as a strategic enabler. And there'll be
Yeah,
some out there who view marketing as a strategic driver. And I think it depends on uh, how you've grown in your marketing career, who you've worked for in your marketing career. And, I look at a company. There are two types of people in a company. There are those who carry the quarterback, and there are those who help those who carry the quarterback. And what I mean by that is ultimately in marketing, our job is to make sales easy. That's it. If I was to sum up marketing in one sentence, that's it. Make
I love
sales
that.
easier. So
Yeah,
you can go have a great branding initiative and do some really cool stuff, but it doesn't make sales easier, then you got to question what's the value of that. And so for us, it goes back to alignment. And I've had experiences in my career where there's been that um, that sort of confrontational adversarial relationship with sales. Uh, and so, I'm fortunate at Invafresh, we've got a great working culture and really solid alignment. And how we do that is we don't create things for the sake of creating things, assets. We create things that sales needs. I obviously have my weekly one-on-ones with our CRO, but we share with sales what our plans are for the quarter. We get feedback. So we have a continuous feedback loop on what we're doing. We have smart meetings, which are smart as sales marketing meetings to review what we're doing, to share back what's working. And I think you need to be, you know, collaboration or alignment means you need to be open-minded and take back feedback from the front line. As you know, Pius, in your experience, it's one thing to be crafting messaging in the ivory tower of marketing. It's another thing to be on the front line delivering that message to prospects and customers. And so,
absolutely. Yeah.
what we do is making sure that you're fully engaged with sales and understanding what they need, what's going to help them close business, what's going to help drive interest. And in marketing, Pius, it's a kind of two-level approach. It's this air cover of amplifying awareness. So, getting PR coverage, getting analyst relations coverage, uh, getting mentions, doing some publication work. But then there's the sort of trench uh, warfare aspect of it, and that is that what assets do they need that they're going to help open doors and close business. Is it demos? Is it specific data sheets or um, things like account-based marketing, right? Is it you know specific marketing intelligence? So, for example,
Yeah.
competitive intel, right? So, providing with win-loss analysis data, providing with the latest on the competitive landscape as to how competitors are positioning themselves or positioning us in the marketplace, so that they can go in and be able to refute claims.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you kind of describe that with air cover and also being on the ground with your sales team as well. And the air cover, and if I'm getting this right, is really that brand awareness and driving awareness to your brand, your product, and whatnot. But being on the ground, you're doing ride-alongs, you're talking to customers, you're understanding what they need, and you're creating that sales enablement content that helps your sales rep close deals faster and more effectively.
Yeah, I think bias, if with the brand awareness, amplifying awareness, if you do it right and you understand your audience and you're targeting where they go to get their information, then that means a salesperson needs less time to explain the company to the
Which makes
prospect.
sales easier. Yeah.
It does. I mean, it should be. End of the day, it's all about making sales easy
Yeah.
or easier.
Amazing. Yeah, some great strategies there. Maybe for tactics, for the marketing leaders listening, what should they focus their teams on as a first in today's market, or how can they drive that alignment between sales and marketing from your experience, and what have you seen work?
And I think you need to start with the ICP, who's your ideal customer profile, and you can have multiple personas, and so who is the ICP, and most of your listeners will have multiple personas. They may have a CIO, they may have a chief marketing officer or a chief financial officer, and so who are those buyer personas, and what are their pain points? And from that, you can start to craft messaging that resonates with that buyer persona, and then you can look at vehicles that those personas go to get information. I think a lot of marketers, especially in product, we focus on features. Our product does X, Y, and Z, and really need to flip that around. We did this at Absolute when we rebranded Absolute back in 2015.
Yes, I
Focus on
remember that.
benefits.
Yeah.
So what are the benefits to the end user? And those benefits are going to vary based on the ICP. And so understanding who the customer is and the pain points is really the foundational first step towards crafting that marketing strategy. And you do that by meeting with uh, prospects and customers, and even deals that you lose. You reach out to them, and go, "Hey, why did we lose? What could we have done differently?" You get good insight. You get as much good insight from losses as you do from wins, and then working with sales and even professional services to better understand the pain points that they're seeing, and that becomes the foundation for the marketing framework, and allows you to craft targeted campaigns, targeted messaging that are going to deliver results. Because at the end of the day, lead volume really means nothing. It's the number of leads you generate is really not that important as to the number of qualified leads you generate, and then from there you have your sales qualified and sales qualified leads and then opportunities. That's the real value of pipeline contribution, because you can generate 3,000 leads, but if none of them get qualified, then you've got a good prospect database, I guess. But
Yeah.
you need to contribute. You need to be contributing to the revenue.
That's amazing. There's so much to unpack there, and I think, going first of all, going back to interview the closed lost customers. I don't know a lot of companies that really do that effectively today. And if you look at
Mm,
the average win rate, a really good win rate could be something like 35-40%, which is great, but that leaves 60-65% of customers that you could be going back,
yeah,
talking about, and figuring out what went wrong, and where, and at the same time, what else would work in the future. These are your future customers that could potentially come back as well.
yeah,
And then another thing you mentioned was really kind of, there's multiple people that we need to sell to now, and we're seeing a lot
there
of
is.
and that as
Yeah,
well. And on my sales team, they're frequently coming across to selling to committees now, where they're not just selling to that one champion, but they're selling to the CIO who gets involved, the CRO who gets involved, and different messaging to different pain points, and kind of that benefit based messaging to each of those departments is so important. And I've seen us win and lose deals because we forgot to pitch to a certain specific stakeholder who we didn't know was involved, but they were in the background. So that's
yeah,
that's huge, and that's vital.
yeah. It definitely is, and I think you've got. And I think it's actually good for the sales process and the sales rep to have multiple contacts within an organization.
Yeah.
You got a single point of contact and he or she leaves and they're like, oh, I'm going to start again. So,
There you go.
good sales reps have multiple contacts, and good marketing understands that and drafts or creates messaging to touch all those points.
Yeah, what about specific types of content like video or different types of creative
Yeah.
content? Where do you see that helping?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I mean, uh, because of the length of my CV, I remember we've got a 25 page white paper and everyone loves it. That doesn't really happen anymore. It's a combination of things. Certainly, we're doing a lot more video. I think we all consume video now as a means to learn, to educate ourselves. Certainly, the next generation behind us, it's all video all the time.
Yeah.
But even the more, we'll say, seasoned customers, it's really video. We look at video as a way to quickly engage the customer and get to the point and provide some real value. So certainly, I would say from a content perspective, that's the biggest change, is the introduction of video into how we communicate to both customers and prospects. For example, I've done my fair share of product launches and releases, and it used to be, 10 years ago, we would do a product release and it would be, release notes, maybe a collateral update to the website brochure. We do some of that stuff still, but every release now that we do, it has a video that goes to our customers, maybe prospects too, that talks about the new features and functionality and how to use the platform. So video is huge. I find what content really pulls well, in addition to video, is trend analysis. So for your listeners that have a SaaS platform, you can have a lot of really good data in that platform. And so how do you extract that data and put it into a document that, whether that's a research report or whatever format, that helps position you as an industry thought leader? I mean, we all want to be thought leaders. We all want to be perceived as innovative and providing solutions to problems. And certainly at our company, SaaS platform, there's a lot of good data that we can extract in a way that doesn't, obviously we're not disclosing customer information, we're aggregating and looking at trends. And so for your listeners who work for a SaaS company or SaaS marketers, there's a lot of really good data that you can be extracting to help position thought leadership. For example, this year, one of our top performing blog posts in terms of engagement was our trends for 2023. People love that. Media love that kind of stuff. And so if you could offer that up, that helps really, hits a couple of the key pillars. It drives awareness, but also provides value add to our salespeople when talking to prospects and customers.
Yeah, it's a quick way for them to really describe what you do and the what people are seeing in the field as well.
Yeah, what we do and the value we provide.
Yeah. Great. Kind of wrapping up with our final topic today, and something you said last time that really resonated was that nothing has changed in how people buy and how people are marketed to. It's just that the technology has evolved. How does tech play into data? How does tech play into marketing? And obviously the big thing on people's minds these days is AI. And how does that affect you in your world?
Yeah, I would say in the 20 plus years, the biggest change is the size of the marketing tech stack. There are so many solutions out there now, and it's kind of dizzying where to focus and where to spend your energy. I mean, we've all got finite marketing budgets, and so my guidance is any tech investment, it's got to integrate with existing systems. You can't have data silos. It is the kiss of death, data silos. So you have to have alignment with existing systems, and any tech solution has to help you achieve your marketing goals, which are a subset of the corporate goals. And so you can spend a lot of money on tech and not really get get that much further. So you really need to make sure that you're investing in the right kind of tech, and that's going to help you provide insight and give you actionable insight to making you a better marketer and your marketing organization a better contributor to the overall company. So, more systems means more data, and you've got to be able to parse that data to figure out what data is going to have the biggest impact for you. The big topic today is artificial intelligence, or AI, and everyone's talking about it. It's pretty much impossible to go to a trade show and not see AI at every booth. I mean, even if they're not doing AI, they're doing AI. So it's interesting, and I think from a marketing perspective, I think what AI means is, it means data is going to get processed at greater speed and accuracy. It's going to provide you with better insight into effective campaigning. And a good use case of AI is around ABM, or account-based marketing, and allowing you to do a better job at personalizing content and delivering the right messaging to the right people within your ABM program. So I do see a lot of opportunity for AI when it comes to account-based marketing. We're at Invafresh, we're an AI company. We leverage AI for our customers every day to deliver better results in how they forecast. But from a marketing perspective, I see the applicability around account-based marketing and being able to deliver better results and more targeted, personalized messaging to those contacts within our accounts.
Amazing. Yeah. And kind of going back to our days at Business Objects and SAP, when we look at that, back then it was really, we looked at Business Objects as that semantic layer, right? On top of a database that allows you to use like natural human language to take the data that's in certain data warehouses and database, translate that back into human language. But now with AI, the database is just the entirety of the internet. So it's like all the things that are out there, and you can really query it and ask it all this information. But now you can feed it specific data that spits back that data that you need to make those data-driven decisions, like you said. And it's really amazing kind of where it's gone. And I'm really interested to see where it's going to go over the next few years as well.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we had chat GPT when I was at university. It would have been much easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, the evolution of tech is fast, and I think as marketers, maybe the biggest challenge for any marketer is to stay current with the technology and stay current with technology, make the right decisions when it comes to tech, and be able to use that data for action and deliver results for the business.
Amazing. Sweet. Thank you so much, Stephen. This has been so much fun, and it's always a pleasure to catch up and connect. Where can our audiences find you?
Well, the best place would be LinkedIn, I guess. LinkedIn, Stephen Midgley, LinkedIn. Feel free to check me out. If you're happy to answer any questions, connect with me. I'm always keen to talk marketing.
Thank you, Stephen. Hey, listeners, we always want to keep our episodes short and impactful, and we hope you found value in what you heard today. That is our goal, is really to connect you with industry leaders with the expertise to share so we can all grow together. As always, keep making purposeful content in this B2B world, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, hit subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to your podcast, or leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. If video is not already part of your marketing content strategy, it's not too late to start. Create amazing videos with Lumen 5's AI-powered video creator without the need for any design or video editing experience. Check us out at lumen5.com to supercharge your marketing, or follow us on LinkedIn for updates and resources. As always, keep making purposeful content in this B2B world. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.